Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us. Thanks for all your suggestions and tips after watching last week's show. This is number 2 of our live CyberShack shows. On the show today, brand new fitness tech. We'll look at that with Jeff Quattromani. 5G networks, they're doing some work on that, rolling out a whole new type of 5G network. We'll get an understanding of what that is. Cyber threats, now we're all working at home. What are they doing to plug the gaps on that one? We'll answer that on the show. The top 5 smartphones under $200 that run the COVIDSafe app, we'll look at those and a whole heap more. In tech news this week, a lot is happening. We have seen Telstra announce that if you have the ability to make calls over Wi-Fi, that is your smartphone has the ability to route the call over your Wi-Fi network rather than the mobile phone tower in your suburb that your phone's connecting to. They're also going to route the SMS feature over that Wi-Fi as well. To date, you've been able to do Wi-Fi calling, but not Wi-Fi for SMS. Big thing for those in regional Australia especially. So we're going to see that one rolling out now. Hopefully other telcos do the same because it's a great little feature. Passwords on Zoom. You are going to be forced to use them. The guys at Zoom have come out and said, yeah, look, they're improving their security all the time. This is one feature that they are going to be forcing customers to access or engage with as they start to use or continue to use Zoom. So if you haven't been using a password, you've been sending that little address and you click on it and off you go, you're going to be forced to punch in that password too. That's a really good little announcement. Speaking of passwords, World Password Day today. So maybe go change your password. If it's password, give yourself a small little tap on the hand because that's very naughty. Change your password today. Make sure you use good password practices. Passwords really are the first line of defense when it comes to keeping your data safe. So happy World Password Day today. Now, we also have seen announcements this week from Google and Apple about their next conferences. The Worldwide Developers Conference from Apple is a big event every June, especially. They've announced they're all going to be streamed. The Google event, the Apple event, they're not going to be the traditional event where you can go to and you can meet everybody. They're going to stream them and they are going to be taking place, which is great. But if you've been following their announcements or if you've been planning to engage with those events, it's going to be via stream. Maybe more of you will participate, maybe not. I don't know. I think it's a great idea. You can't go to the event anyway. Let's see if we can engage with it via stream. And maybe in the future, this will be an opportunity for those who can't actually go to the event to engage with them. Maybe. We'll wait and see. That's tech news for today. You'll see more tech announcements posted on cybershack.com and on the Facebook page.
Swan is one of the most well-known names in home security, with a great set of affordable connected cameras. The latest product from Swan is the indoor pan and tilt security camera. Swan's new pan and tilt camera can be controlled remotely from your smartphone using the Swan Security app, allowing you to view an ultra-wide field of vision, unlike traditional fixed cameras. The camera can pan or move left and right up to 355 degrees, and tilt or move up and down 60 degrees. It's built with a two-way audio so you can welcome visitors, check in on pets, or deter intruders. Swan offers rolling 7-day cloud storage for free, a service most other security camera companies make you pay for. You can also save the footage locally to the included micro SD card as well.
As more and more of us are using applications like Zoom and Teams to engage for work or for home amongst our friends and families, it's becoming more important for us to look at how cybersecurity products are able to support us as we're doing those kinds of functions. It's a newer thing for us to be using those things, especially in the volumes that we're doing at the moment. One company, Acronis, a worldwide provider of cyber safety, cybersecurity products, especially for businesses, has put this area of cybersecurity directly in their sites with a new update on a product that they're making available to businesses and consumers all over the world. I thought we'd have a chat with Neil Maraji from Acronis today to talk about what they're doing. How are you, Neil?
Hey, mate. Good. Charlie, good to be on the show again.
Now, look, I wanted to talk to you because we've spoken to you before on our radio show. This is the first time on our live show. So we've got a little bit more time today. I just really want to sort of understand, first and foremost, when it comes to Zoom, when it comes to Microsoft Teams, when it comes to other products like that, what kind of cybersecurity do we need to be aware of to ensure that we're being safe when we're using those applications? What is it that you're actually offering to companies and to people?
Okay, so as you know, Acronis is a cyber protection company. Now, what we've done is it's a world first, and I'm really excited about it. We've got an all-in-one integrated cyber protection solution, and it's AI-based. And what it does, it integrates data protection with cybersecurity. So as we know, we're a data protection company. Now we're basically merge them together and become a cyber protection company. So what it does, it gives you a backup. It gives you disaster recovery. It gives you next generation anti-malware, cybersecurity, and endpoint management tools in one service. And that includes, as you know, the world has changed. So that includes collaboration tools like Zoom, like WebEx, like Microsoft Teams that we protect from anti-malware, ransomware attacks, phishing attacks, and what have not, that's happening in the world right now.
I guess the question is, now that these applications are becoming more popular amongst users, does that mean that they're being more targeted? Have you seen them being more targeted by the cyber thieves of the world, so to speak?
It is. The general consensus is where, especially with us human beings, is that when we work from home, we feel that, we're at home, we're safe, nobody's going to attack us here, we're not in the office. But your home network now is an extension of your office, and cyber criminals find it very easy to attack your home and go into the office, into your office network by attacking your home. So we're quite vulnerable, and that's where Acronis's products are based on. We're based on basically protecting the endpoints, protecting the edge, also including the core.
Is this going to get harder as more and more of us continue to work from home? Because the way I've understood internet security and cyber protection is that you need to protect your most your weakest link. If we're all working from home, the weakest link would obviously be our home network, our home gateway to the internet. Is this going to make it harder for companies to ensure they're providing their shareholders with that complete protection, that complete blanket of protection of company data?
Absolutely. And I think not only is it going to get harder, this is here to stay. What the COVID-19 situation has done is that it's created a whole new world of working from home, and it's here to stay, and people will work from home for a long, long time, and this could be the new norm. So it definitely is harder, but companies like Acronis are working towards creating more products, more services that can service that market, and we've started that with Cyber Protect. I think the key things that companies should be doing really, and not only just companies, but users at home, is simple things like start using a VPN now. Make sure you have good anti-malware products running. Patch your OS and apps. Be wary of all the phishing attempts out there. So you've got to use products that basically give you end-to-end security. And to your question, absolutely, it's going to get harder.
The interesting thing about protection is that it continues to change. And I guess over the last 3 months, we've had a new application that's come in that we're sharing a lot more information across video now. We receive press releases and alerts from companies from different applications saying, and I won't be specific on the ones that we get saying that we get these from, but they say, use us. Don't use the other popular one, because we're a lot safer and a lot better protected and offering much better protection of your information. A company like Zoom that has become very, very popular. We hear that things that they are doing may not be providing as much protection to customers as they should be. Without being specific to Zoom, if you're using a video platform, a video conferencing platform, is there anything that we can do as users, based on your knowledge of cyber protection, that's going to improve the security for our experience?
Yes, absolutely. As I said before, if you're using Zoom or if you're using Microsoft Teams, before you even start using that, you got to make sure that your desktop or your workstation is protected. So have good antivirus, anti-malware apps running. Make sure that you keep your passwords and your workspace to yourself. So there are different ways. Make sure you use a VPN. Use a company VPN. So you're a VPN, tunneling back into your company for this. So there's a whole bunch of security aspects that you need to look after before you even start using these products. And what Acronis does is we actually go one step further and protect you from any malware that's trying to infect Zoom or WebEx or Microsoft Teams. We keep doing malicious URL filtering. We keep doing patch management. There's hundreds of security patches that come out every day. So you've got to make sure that you are patched up well. You have vulnerability assessments happening inside your workstations all the time. And so these are the kind of things that Acronis is doing proactively, AI-based, at the back end, to make sure that the remote user doesn't see any issues. They get onto Zoom, they start working, they have video calls, and they get up. They don't see anything. But in the back end, you've got to have all these protection mechanisms in place to make sure that everything is working up the way you want it to work.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I will spare a thought for your friendly company IT guy, because I tell you what, they're working harder than ever at the moment with all of us working from home, making sure that the company data that you are sending back and forth across the internet is remaining safe. One of the companies that's working to support that is Acronis. Neil Moraji from Acronis. Thank you for joining us today to talk to us about what these new challenges are and how companies like yourselves are getting involved to provide added security for the new applications that we're using as we continue to work differently today.
Asus's suite of products has something for everyone. Today, we're looking at 3 great products that can make your home office setup even better.
Portable monitors are a handy way to take your productivity to the next level. The Asus ZenScreen MB16 AMT has a massive 7,800 mAh battery that will give you a solid 4 hours of usage, and a responsive touch display to easily navigate information on screen. Better yet, it can connect to an Android device or a laptop, giving you the functionality a sizable second screen provides. Pair it with the ROG Strix Go 2.4 with its AI noise-cancelling microphone, perfect for those online meetings. Everyone needs a little relaxation time, and gaming is a great way to wind down after work. Asus gaming monitors are some of the best on the market, and the VG278QR has all the latest features for high-end gaming. With 1080p resolution, 165Hz refresh rate, quick 0.5 ms response time, and TUV certified eye care monitor, which makes it easy on the eyes, not just for gaming, but for long hours of work too.
On the show right now, we do want to focus on getting our fitness managed, getting as much fitness as we can, as we are being released in some areas of Australia especially, but we want to get more focus on our fitness as we're allowed out of lockdown, get back to normal life. Maybe this device is going to help us. Jeff Quattromani, friend of the show, tech expert, of course, is joining us now to talk about the latest Fitbit tech. How are you, Jeff?
Very well, Charlie. How are you?
I'm well, and I've got a Fitbit on my wrist, the Versa 2, but you're looking at some of their more modern technology.
Yeah, look, I've got their latest. It's the Charge 4. And to be honest, for me, this became the device that I've been wanting to wear a lot more often for a number of reasons. I think the biggest thing I can tell you is it's got at least 7 days of battery life. So, if you're anybody who's ever worn a smartwatch before, you can't really take it to bed because it needs to be charged at nighttime. Whereas what we're looking at here is something that you don't have to take off, and you do wear it to bed because it does sleep tracking. Again, something a lot of smartwatches do not have the capability of doing.
I guess when anyone launches a new piece of technology that you wear on your wrist, you're going to compare it to the Apple Watch. How would you compare Apple Watch to something like this one?
Look, it's a tough thing to do sometimes because they are different products. However, if I've only got one place on my wrist where I can put something, I need to be thinking about exactly what it is going to be. And given it does have a long battery life, which is something I really got tired of doing with an Apple Watch, was charging it really on a daily basis. And given that I get more insights actually from the Fitbit than I do from the Apple Watch, this is the device I wanted to wear. And for someone who's now spending a lot of time at home, wishing that they can go for a run a bit more often, this device is starting to replace a lot of the things that I needed an Apple Watch for. If I need to get notifications, I can see it on my phone. I'm in front of my computer so much now. But when I get insights around my sleep, around my steps, that's really why I'm going for the Fitbit. And again, I'm wearing it to bed. I'm not leaving it to charge overnight.
It's almost like we've been provided with a product that just does everything for you. I'm focusing on the Apple Watch here, right? But there's really a big group of consumers that are saying, you know what, that's fine, that you've got that. I don't want everything on my wrist. I do want some things, and everything else, the remainder of which I'm prepared to get on my smartphone. Is this sort of finding that balance?
It is to me, and I think that's a really good point. I've turned off almost most of the notifications that this can receive. I don't want to hear that I've just received a new Twitter reply on my wrist. I'll check my phone when I'm to actually look at social media. So one of the things I want to stop is this phantom vibration I started to get from extended use of an Apple Watch, is that even if I wasn't wearing it, I used to think that my wrist was vibrating when it wasn't. So, turning off a lot of those distractions so I can focus on what I'm doing, but still letting a device remind me for important things, perhaps like a phone call or an SMS, and then telling me to get up every hour. Because to be honest, we're spending a lot more time sitting down now that we're working from home. We do need that reminder to exercise, and not just to stand up, but actually to get about our day and get our steps going.
It is always good to look at the latest fitness technology. This one from Fitbit, the Charge 4, is no doubt going to be helpful to so many of us during this period of time. Trying to be what we love about Fitbit, but obviously not trying to be everything to everybody like what some of the other products out there are able to be or aiming to be. Jeff Quattromani, great to have a chat to you about the latest Fitbit. To be honest, mate, you got me wanting to go out and go for a run right now.
Get to it, Charlie.
Now, there's been a lot of questions around the COVIDSafe app, and many of you, or some of you at least, are needing to buy a new smartphone to run the app. Now, how much do you need to spend if you are going to buy a smartphone, if you want to make sure it is going to run that app? Well, we found 5 smartphones under $200 that will run COVIDSafe, the app, and obviously won't set you back a lot of money. Now, at number 1, Nokia with their 1.3. It's a $169 smartphone. It's running Android Go version 10. So it's the reduced power version of Android, but it is definitely not a poor phone to have a look at. So that's the Nokia 1.3. At number 2, we're looking at the Nokia 2.3. Now, this is a slightly bigger smartphone from Nokia. It's going to cost you just a little bit more money, but it is a different kind of thing. So have a look out for that one at number 2. At number 3, we're looking at the Alcatel One S. Now, this one is a super duper smartphone under $200. This one will run the COVIDSafe app. Look at that. Look at that Core X8 processor built into this one. Again, with 3 gig of RAM, it's not a high-end phone, but at $200, it will run that app and has a dual camera on it as well. Vivo Y12 is the next one to have a look at if you're wanting a smartphone under $200 that runs the COVIDSafe app. you can get it from a whole bunch of different retailers. So you don't just have to buy it online from some unobscure site that you've never heard of before. If you want to go in and have a look at Oppo's sister company, the Realme C2. Now, you may not have heard of Realme. They've been in the market for about 9 months. Have a look at this one. Again, it's under $200. And that rounds out our top 5 phones. Of course, there is one more, the Jimmy Connect smartphone. Now, this one, we tested it. It runs the COVIDSafe app beautifully. Now, this is number 6 because this is the smartphone we've designed. We thought we'd give you 5 that we hadn't, but the Jimmy Connect smartphone will run that app as well. More details of these handsets are on our website, cybershack.com.au, and on the Facebook page, and a few other places where we've stuck it as well, like gme.com. Well, as 5G rolls out across the planet, new versions of 5G are rolling out with it. Now, 5G isn't just 5G. There's different variations of it. And I thought today we'd have a talk about what is going on with a new version of 5G here in Australia. There's some announcements during the week. We are today talking to Dinesh Ganwani. He's from Nokia. And I thought we'd have a talk to Ganesh about what Nokia is doing with Australian telcos. How are you, Dinesh?
I'm good, Charlie. It's a new norm, so yeah, working from home and still trying to build good 5G networks across Australia.
It's interesting though, right? Because there's this insatiable hunger for data now in Australia, especially because we are working from home and we've got NBN, we've got new 5G networks that are being rolled out, but you have made an announcement during the week about low-band 5G and some work that you're doing with Vodafone in particular as one Australian telco. I wanted to talk about what low-band 5G actually is and what it's going to mean for us as consumers.
Sure, Charlie. I'll absolutely give you some kind of perspective around that. But firstly, thank you for having me on the show. Really appreciate it. And maybe before I go into kind of the low band NR kind of 5G deployment or the test that we've done with Vodafone, I'd like to kind of just put a simple fact around how I see spectrum, right? And of course, the low band is again a spectrum in 700. How I see spectrum, I kind of make an analogy of them to water pipes, just to make it simpler. And typically, all operators around this region have rolled out 5Gs initially in a higher band, which is 3.5 gigahertz, which then provides them a larger pipe, as you see in terms of a water pipe, which means a larger pipe, which means a lot more throughput. However, the higher the spectrum band, you of course have a lower coverage area. Now, what you need to do is complement that with a lower spectrum band, which can give you a wider coverage area and still provide 5G services on them. So while the inception of 5G in few of these markets, of course, in the US it was different, have been in kind of the higher bands, which then give you the real speed and the throughput that our consumers are looking for. You need to complement them with the lower band. And that's the test we have done now with Vodafone in the 700 megahertz band, where the spectrum, of course, is limited. But what it does is it gives you a much wider scale, which eventually what it means for our end consumers is that you have more people will have access to those 5G services. And that's the test that we've done with Vodafone recently, and so the press release that you guys have seen.
So let's talk about low band versus high band, and you actually explained that quite well. The higher band has a shorter distance from the tower in which you can reach. So in theory, you would, if you were only using high band, you would need a lot more towers throughout the suburb to get that 5G frequency through to people's devices. With low band, it goes further. But tell me specifically, what are we talking about here? How much further does low band go than you would expect 5G high band to reach?
Yeah, so in terms of coverage area, again, we measure this in decibels, so kind of a dB. And I think the low band coverage kind of goes maybe tens of dBs higher than what a 5G would do. So it's, I would say, in 3 or 4 square kilometers, kind of those kind of areas, right? And this is what we're typically looking at. So where a high band might be penetrating, a 2-kilometer radius. And again, I'm just giving an example here. In essence, we have schemes and modulations and massive MIMOs in terms of these antennas that can go further and increase that reach already. And we're basically seeing that this 5G coverage in the high band is very well aligned with what you call kind of an anchor layer, which is on the 1800 megahertz, right? And typically that's another 4G band that we use. So it's very close to what that is doing. So already I see the coverage is quite good in that. But then what the lower band does is it's easier to even increases that coverage footprint, which then allows you for these signals to come through your house and the offices. So it's easier for indoor penetration as well. The high bands kind of, while it does do indoor penetration, it's more suited to kind of the fixed wireless access, and of course, really the high speed services that you would do. So even on a cell phone, and I think that's kind of why they both are very complementary to each other.
The 5G services, and you talk about that going further into the home than the higher band services that we're already seeing that at the moment. These low band 5G services, will we get a similar kind of, or is it possible to get the same kind of data speeds as with the high band, or are we talking a lower speed because of that wider coverage?
Right. So again, it's not necessarily due to the coverage. It's again, in every band, they're limited by the amount of spectrum they hold. And again, that's again going back to the analogy of the water pipe. So in the lower band, if you have, 5 or 10 megahertz spectrum, which is low in terms of a 5G traditional spectrum, where in the higher bands in Australia, for example, each operator would have traditionally 60 megahertz of that spectrum. So then, of course, the speed would vary, but where it's complementary, and I think that's where Nokia is building these 5G networks across Australia and New Zealand, while you do it with the 4G and 5G together. So you complement all the 5G bands that you have, could be the high band and then the new low bands, with all the existing 4G bands that you have. And you aggregate these speeds together so that as an end user, I think in the end user, which is using any of these services or the apps or video streaming on their phone, they just want a really good quality of service. And you could call that, but 5G is then providing that to you. It's aggregating all of these speeds together with 4G and 5G and providing a good enough end user experience for the consumer that they can use these services. And of course, the high band will give you the larger throughput, and the low bands will then, of course, give you a comparatively. But in terms of comparison, they would give you the same amount of.
Fantastic. So the other thing I want to understand is, because and you sort of lent on that just then by saying people don't really care, they just want the best quality of service in terms of when they're engaged and downloading data. With the different services that we've got, obviously the handsets that are being released, new handsets. The idea with the handset is that they will grab the high band or the low band, whichever is there, whichever is showing the best opportunity for the device to connect to the network. Is that the way it's been designed?
Absolutely. So I think in all of the devices that will come, and of course, this is an evolution, and these devices then carry chipsets that allow them to do that. So absolutely, they will look for the best available 5G band there, and they will then attach to those 5G services, while not ignoring anything on the 4G services that are also available, and try to aggregate as much of that. And this is a combination of what the devices do, what the networks do together, give the end user the best capability. Now, what we've seen with 5G, while throughput and kind of these enhanced mobile broadband that we call is, of course, that's the key use case as we go. What 5G also provides going forward, and not to forget, is that absolutely these kind of mass communication, so machine-to-machine communication, where we see billions of devices then connected into 5G. And it's also kind of the real-time effect that you have, which you call latency in our industry. So I think it's a combination of all of that, and what 5G brings are then those efficiencies. And that's why you will see as a transition, like we did in the 3G days or the GSM days, there was always a transition between these bands going from a GSM band to a 3G band. And then, of course, 3G moved to 4G. These were the same spectrum bands, but what each of these technologies got was further efficiencies. And, of course, newer band variants like you see now in 5G to give the end users that kind of unparalleled experience. And Nokia is doing that across the globe. I think we now have close to 70-odd contracts and about 21 live networks across the globe as of 30th of April. So, we're quite successfully doing it in all the lead markets, including the United States and Korea, other parts of Asia Pacific, Europe, India, and, India, of course, at the inception of it, and then Australia, New Zealand, we're seeing a lot. We've already launched 4 5G networks here in this region. And we're seeing kind of, this is always going to be in that transition phase. And you won't even know it kind of when that 5G is really hit you, because that's just how the ecosystem would work. And in the back end, kind of we would do the heavy lifting together with the operators to kind of give that experience to our customers.
Well, it is a very interesting discussion to have, and at the end of the day, anything that provides better internet speeds and services to people in their homes and out and about on the street is obviously going to be a very, very good inclusion for so many different customers and users of data services, be it consumers, be it business, be it whether you want to put a whole bunch of sensors out in the field and measure what the cows are doing in terms of where they're going, all those kinds of things 5G is going to assist with. Very, very interesting discussion to have. Dinesh, thank you very much for your time. Thanks for coming on the program and talking to us more about this. And we'll watch the evolution of 5G very, very closely. I've heard it being discussed as a science, not a technology, but we appreciate you coming on the program.
Gme is a smart yet safe entertainment offer and is the perfect solution for anyone wanting on-the-go entertainment via your favourite compatible Android apps. Streaming music, podcasts, ebooks, and most other popular app-based services can be enjoyed on a Gme device.
One model in the lineup, the Gme Connect, takes the Gme experience further. This device includes 4G cellular connectivity to Australia's mobile networks, so you now have mobile data, calls, and SMS as a part of your Gme experience.
Gme Connect includes a call block feature to help you manage incoming and outgoing calls. You can create phone number whitelists and blacklists, giving you more control of incoming and outgoing calls and SMS. Gme Connect has also been tested to operate on Australia's 3 network carriers. It's an unlocked device, so the provider you choose is up to you. Safety with Gme goes further though, with each device tested to meet Australian safety standards. All those results are listed on the Gme website.
And as we mentioned earlier in the show, the Gme Connect will run the COVIDSafe app as well. Now, thank you for joining us this week. Thanks to all our guests for coming on the show. We will have extracts of those interviews on the Facebook and YouTube channels later on this afternoon for you to watch back. And the Gme Connect smartphone giveaway, we'll have the winner of that on the Facebook page soon. We'll be back same time next week. See you then.